Hello, I'm Nika, the authoress of the book Tale of Two Oranges, How I Changed Moscow for a Spanish Village. And it's an autobiographical book. I'm going to read a chapter from it about wildlife in the Alpujarras. Wildlife in the Alpujarras. One of my first discoveries on Riva was that birds can sing all year round. When I lived in Russia, I thought they'd only sing in spring and summer. But when autumn comes, songbirds flew to southern countries to come back in springtime. Every time I saw flocks of cranes and other migratory birds in the sky, I wanted to fly south to warm sea with them. When I worked as a tour guide in Russia, I took foreign tourists around Moscow. During the city tour, we stopped near the Novodevichy convent and saw the pond in front of it. Every winter, the pond was frozen and people used it as a skating rink. The ducks, which did not fly to warm countries like most birds, swam in the ice hole. With the onset of frost, the hole became smaller and narrower, and the wretched ducks floundered and tumbled in the hole to warm up. They pushed each other, waddled across the slippery ice, trying to be the first to grab the pieces of bread that people threw to them. Tourists from Australia, instead of listening to my story about the convent, took photos and videos of the ducks paddling in the ice hole. For them it was exotic. And then they asked me, why don't they fly to the ocean, which doesn't freeze and it's full of fish all year round? Why don't they fly to Australia, for example? I explained that ducks were waterfowl and they fly low and not far and would not reach Australia, unlike cranes, which are high-flying birds capable of transcontinental flights. So cranes spend half a year on the sea or ocean enjoying the vastness and abundance of fresh fish. They do not have to share tiny ice hole in the struggle for survival, do not wait for pieces of bread from people like ducks. People are different too. Some live like cranes, some live like ducks, others like eagles soaring high above the ground. The south of Spain has nearly tropical climate. Costa Tropical is the Spanish name of the coast. And the birds have enough food in the form of insects, fruit and seeds all year round. This is why most of them don't fly to other countries for the winter. Many fruits of pomegranates and persimmons are left on trees and serve as bird feeders. Pomegranates ripen in November, they crack and split in the sun, so birds peck out the seeds. The dry pomegranate skins remain on the trees afterwards. To tell you the truth, they call it winter here, but for me it's called autumn, like October or November in Russia, when night temperatures drop to zero. And summits of the mountains north of Riva are covered with snow. It looks awesome, glistering in the sun. I always smile when the Spanish people complain that it becomes very cold. For me, very cold is minus 20 degrees or lower temperatures. Daytime temperatures in December, January, February are from plus 10 to plus 20. If you live in a flat or a townhouse which is not insulated properly, it's warmer outside than at home. From dawn to dusk, the birds are singing everywhere. Wherever you are, on the balcony, on the street, in cafes, in the main square, you can hear the birds singing on every tree. The exception is when it rains or when the kalima comes from Africa, which happens once a year or once in 2 years. In the coastal towns by the sea, there are many green parrots. They fly from palm to palm in flocks, making a lot of noise. In the mountains, one can see many eagles soaring high in the sky looking for prey. Eagles fly alone, while parrots and sparrows fly in flocks. There are many white pigeons and blackbirds, which are common in other countries, as well as more rare birds like bee-eaters or egrets. In summer, one can see many bats in Riva. Unlike birds, they hibernate in winter, so from October to May, June, they have siesta time. But in summer, every evening, you can see duck wings in the air. Once I was swimming in a pool and a bat was circling above my head like a butterfly.